Hey, feels like it's been a lot longer than 2 weeks. Oh, a lot of stuff crammed in. Well, I don't even know where to start. Uh, hmm. Seems like the past few months I've just been in a terrible, terrible, terrible headspace. Just bad. Looking back on it now, I can see how I got there, but I wasn't even paying attention at the time. And it just kept getting worse and worse. It's like you get a sliver, like I ain't got time for that crap right now. I'll just pull it out later. And then a month goes by and it starts getting infected, and then a few months go by and then like your hand starts to turn white or green or pussy, and then all of a sudden it's been like a year, and then you go to the doctor and you just got to take your arm off at the shoulder. And you're like, what? Escalated quick, and it really didn't. It just played its course. And I just been things have just been getting to me more and more and more and more, and I was just letting these things get to me. Didn't really do much about it other than lash out or shut down or whatever. I didn't really take much of it to God. I got so involved in things I wanted to do that I just kind of left God behind. And then finally, I just got to a point where I just could not sustain it anymore. And I was just about to buckle. And I was at work, and I ended up just listening to some music, just something therapeutic for me, some good solid rock, and just getting lost in it. Because that's when I can just sort of drown my senses in that. I can sort my thoughts out easier. And then you ever seen those shows where it's like these two really good friends, and then one of them starts tripping out and getting weird and just getting uncharacteristic. The other friend tries to talk sense into him, and then the first friend just doesn't want to hear it, and his pride gets all uppity, and then they just start throwing down. That's about that's about what happened with me and God. At work one day, I was just getting lost in this music, doing my job, minding my own business, and then finally it was like he just took my head and put it between his hands, and it's like he's staring right at me. He's like, "Hey, you are a whole lot stronger and better than this. Grow up and get over yourself and move on. You've got no excuse for acting like such a coward and such a baby." And I thought, huh, thought about that for a while. I mean, as God, you're not really going to argue. You're not going to be right, ever. So I was just kind of stunned that it came to that. And of course, I was still in a pretty chronic bad mood, especially at work. I just kind of turned into a wolf at work. I expect everybody to keep up, and they don't. And I get mad, and that's not ideal. There was one funny thing this past week. Um, So like 6 or 8 weeks ago, I was taken up into the uh, if I had any issues that I had to take them to my supervisors because they didn't like how I was dealing with them, how I was dealing with my issues with other people that I worked with, my coworkers. So that's what I started doing. And then my bosses started talking about how they were just getting tired of refereeing. And then they're just yesterday, I think, maybe just 2 days ago, my main boss told me to just, you know what, I'm tired of just being the go between. You just deal with this stuff yourself. So so I did. And then I ended up in the office again yesterday about how I hurt somebody's feelings. And then even my boss was like, I should have known better. You're just doing what you were told. I can't really get you in trouble for any of that. But your attitude sucks. And it did. Just because stuff, a lot of stuff I was trying to process, some of it I just didn't want to. And then I just started getting lost in my own head. And I would include God in it. But that's as much involved as God would be. He was never really a part of what I had in my head, what I was thinking, my plans, my imagination. It wasn't a part of it. I would talk about him, get lost in my thoughts like he was, but he was never involved. You ever have those friends you can just not talk to for like 6 months or a year, and then you just call them up or whatever, and then it's like nothing even happened? I got one like that. I used to work with him when he was still living in Oklahoma. And, we just not talk for months and months and months. And one of us calls the other, hello? Hey, dummy, what's going on? Oh, hey, stupid, you finally done eating? What, are you on your fourth breakfast? Shut up. And just going back and forth like that, just having fun, not even like, well, it kind of hurts my feelings that you never talk to me anymore. We got friends like that. How much better is God than that? And we get all self-conscious and emotional because we blow him off for a few weeks, a month, 2 months, a year, a couple years. And we got friends better than that, and none of them even come close to God's caliber. So, all right, we're gonna have an exercise in imagination. All the crap we've heard in church about what a good friend God is, let's just throw it out and start fresh. That way we can all be on the same page. I didn't really know when I first really, when God first really reached out to me. I didn't know what was going on. I was just a mess. I was just a worthless puddle of emotion. I just didn't know up from down. But I knew he touched me. I knew he was there, right there with me, even if I couldn't really understand what he was saying. I knew he was there. And then I hit that rock bottom a few more times, and same thing. He was there every single time, but I was just too obtuse and ignorant and immature to know really what was going on, other than he was right there in the thick of it with me. So, fast forward, oh crap, I don't know, 4 years. Moved down to Tulsa, been here for a while, and start doing all the church stuff that I think good little Christians are supposed to do. Helping out with the church, just thanklessly, just being there night and day because that's what a good little servant of the Lord does. And making all these Christian friends because I thought that's what good Christians did. Going to good little Christian Bible studies every week, having good little Christian dinners with good Christian people. because that's what good Christians do. And then, obviously, I had to have a job, and it wasn't a job surrounded by good little Christians. I had to go out into the world, and ended up making some of my best friends there at that job. But my good little Christian friends couldn't quite reconcile that. It's one of those tilt. It's just, I don't know what the issue was, but there was some of these Bible studies. I didn't know better. I was just there trying to please God and grow up. And one of them, we ended up washing each other's feet, and that was just, honestly, dude, come on, let's put it in a little more 21st century, and why don't we wash each other's cars instead if we're going to do something like that? I wear socks nowadays. And just stupid stuff like that. Because I didn't know any better. I remember thinking, well, this is kind of weird, but I respect these people. They seem to know God better than I do, so I'll play along. And then I just kind of kept branching out with people outside of my church. Good people, for sure. Some of them were Christians, some of them weren't. That's just how it is. And things with some of those people hit rock bottom. Things with some of my church people hit rock bottom. And then none of my church friends at the time were any good for anything. I tried talking to a couple of them, and they were like, well, they just started getting all preachy and talking about themselves. It's like, if you're really in this for helping somebody, you'd think of yourself quite a bit less. And man, I was scraping the bottom for, I don't know how long. It felt like years. It was realistically, it may have been like 2 or 3 months. It may have been more. Who knows? When you're that messed up, you can lose track of time. And I invested so much of my trust and my respect and myself, my time into these church people I respected, into the things that they were doing, the things that I was trying to do with them, because I thought God was involved. And then the relationships I'd cultivated with other people. Some of them stuck it out with me. They weren't good for much because they had no idea what to do with me, but they were there. Some of them gave up on life and died. Some of them just gave up on God. It was a pretty dark time. And I tried reaching out to my church friends, my good little church friends. And they were worthless. They were worse than my non-church friends. So I kicked them to the curb because I didn't want to be a part of their crappy advice or walk in their crappy footsteps. I don't want to be a part of any of that. I ended up just shutting myself out from everything. I shut everything out from me. Just closed myself off for a while. I was so far gone. I didn't even know. I didn't even think I knew. Well, I was starting to lose grip on what was real to me, what wasn't. I was. It was dark. I had no emotional anchor to keep me relatively confined to one area. I had no bearings. I had no emotional compass, no real internal compass at all. It was like I was in the Bermuda Triangle. But I just did my best to put everything on hold and find God. I don't like to, I like to just keep over spiritualize them, because then it's like, when you're a kid and you watch cartoons or Bible stories, and then you just watch Disney cartoons or whatever, and you just don't really differentiate. I never want it to be like that. I like, uh, I like the more gritty, realistic approach. And it just, God didn't show up in my apartment or anything like that, but he found, he found me. And, like a rescue dog that's been abused, that just doesn't trust people anymore. That's pretty much what I was like. And God was the one that just kept coming around, coming around, coming around. A little bit of help at a time, much as I could stand, much as I could handle. And then that that span of time, man, hard as it was, changed my entire life. If I was going to keep going with God, I had no choice but to just keep going and find God. And I've seen a lot of people just stop right there just because they have an out. And I told God, for me personally, I didn't move halfway across the country to play stupid little games. Now I'm almost almost too independent of people. I talked to God after I really recovered from that. Got back on my feet, got back on the straight and narrow, got centered. That my first priority, till I get all my bearings right, was to just not get crapped on by people, unless I know it's got something to do with God. And there's been times when I knew it did, and those were the times when I got crapped on. But it's like God was right there getting crapped on too, so it was okay. you know? I told God, my first priority right now, man, I ain't gonna put up with people's crap just because they're stupid people, just because they're that selfish and juvenile. My second priority, then, is to care for them the way you expect me to, the way you cared for me. And if you ever work retail, especially retail, You get plenty of opportunities to learn how far short you fall of God's love. But the reason I ended up in the office yesterday was because, I was told to just not have a go-between, to just present my issues and resolutions directly to the people I had issues with. So I did. And it turns out this chick didn't take it very well. My approach was a little sharp, but I got my point across because it was sharp. Not ideal, that's just where I'm at. Sorry if it's not Christian enough for you. But with her, dude, she's just got this weird princess complex where she can just do whatever she wants and everybody else has to be okay with it. And I don't know why everybody else is. They just deal with it. So, not the first time she and I butted heads since we worked together. Oh well. If I can't get on here and be honest, not much sense in getting on here, huh? And when God picked me up from that time, man, after that, I realized there wasn't a whole lot I want from people. What do I need your approval for? Where were you when I thought I was going to lose it? When I'd be driving somewhere and just think about getting into the other lane, into oncoming traffic. God was there. Nobody else was. What do I need from people? You know? Especially not approval. I don't need the stuff that's that important to me. I just learned how to get from God. Consequently, especially because of all the good little Christians that do their good little Christian things, they were the best example for me of everything that I did not want to be with God. All the stupid buzzwords and just the way they talk King James when they're trying to be spiritual. I throw up a little bit in my mouth when I hear it. Why don't we make a little more practical approach? Why can't we just be pragmatic about it and bring it into present day? That's what Jesus did. But no, we have to be like Jesus, however many thousands of years ago. We make it pretty clear you have no idea who he is. Even he said, you gotta do all this stuff for me. And then you start trying to brag about it to me like it gives you some kind of leverage to me. I don't even know who you are. We have nothing in common. We're not friends. Go away. Too many people are going to hear that. Or some variation thereof. That was the contemporary Pete translation. But even lately, there was, Paul, like in, I forget which book it was. I just kind of read all of them. I think it was the Corinthians. I don't know if it was first or second, but he's talking about, hey, we didn't hide a single thing from you. We didn't withhold anything from you. Why are you treating us like this? Why are you doing us this way? And Paul's approach with that, just being so completely open, that's been something I've been striving for and making very, very, very slow progress because it's still an optional objective at this point. So, especially when people are like, hey, just trust me. I think, yeah, you're full of crap. Like I said, if I can't be honest on here. And that was something that I was starting to get divided over, was trusting certain people. And finally, it was just trying to mind my own business again at work. And God's like, hey, you can trust that person. And finally, it was like the walls were down. I was like, oh, well, I guess if God sticks up for you, I guess we're on the same page. All right, that's cool. All right, well, this got easier. Kind of like Pam and Bernard, just so we're all on the same page. The other ones that host these videos, I'm just the pretty face of IctusNet Live. Me and Greg, and they're just the speakers. We're not the masterminds. That's Pam and Bernard. But people that are their friends through religious contexts. I figure, if they've been accepted by Pam and Bernard, clearly I have something in common with them. They must be all right. But I know it's ideal to get to where Jesus was with it. When was it a mystery who was going to turn him in? But when the time came that Jesus said that somebody was going to throw him under the bus, nobody knew who it was. Jesus never treated Judas Iscariot like the black sheep, like begrudgingly or anything like that. Jesus opened his heart as much to Judas as he did to the other, like 7, 8, however many. Then the inner circle, there were, I don't know how much, I don't know what the dynamic was completely, obviously, because I wasn't there. But Jesus just treated him like one of the boys. And that's my goal, but I got some mileage before I get there. There's been times when somebody's just kind of learning how to hear God. I'll feel it out and share a couple of conversations I've had with him that I've written down. And some of them are pretty straightforward. Just like a literary version of God taking my head between his hands and just setting me straight. And sometimes people are like, I don't think God talks to people like that. I said, well, maybe he can't talk to you like that, but that's how he talks to me. I like direct and straightforward and to the point. None of the sugarcoat crap. Why don't we just figure out what the problem is, deal with it, and move on? It turns out that same approach at my job gets me in trouble. Huh. You get to know God through the Bible, through time with him. That's how I got to know Pam and Bernard. That's how I got to know people that are close to me, people I hold dear. Not through religious get-togethers where we can all just gather around and talk churchy and feel better about ourselves and encourage each other by having no real standard to judge each other by except a good pat on the back. And that's still going on way too often at way too many churches. Well, we're doing okay, brother. Just keep on plugging away. No. You shut up and get over yourself. That's about where we're at. We don't need every single Christian on the planet posting a daily devotional on Facebook for the love of God. That just does not do much. Well, I'm pleasing God by showing the world how much I know. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm sure the single mom with 3 hungry kids is very impressed by that. Very impressed. Yeah. Never mind that they're having rice and peanut butter sandwiches for what, the third week in a row, because that's all she can afford. Anyway, God wants to prove to people like chumps that want to prove to each other how much they know. You just want to have a religious lecture and talk, and have these stupid arguments that they learn how to have from other intellectual Christians, where all it is head knowledge and they don't even care about much other than proving that they're right and everybody else is wrong, because that's Jesus. If that was Jesus, I feel like the conversation he and Pilate had would have been a little longer. Anyway, Jesus is a lot better friend than people give him credit for. You don't need people to get to know God. You just need to get over yourself. That's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, you know, I was talking to one friend just about where I've been in the last couple months mentally. This ugly, terrible place, and it's like, I was just like this self-absorbed little kid that was just talking to God about all these plans I had, all these aspirations, and all these things I wanted. And was never open for any other opinion. Just like a 5-year-old that just wanted to talk and talk and talk and talk, just to talk. And then when I finally just couldn't keep it together anymore, it's just God. All right, I have seen the error of my ways. What do I need to change, man? I gotta fix something because this ain't working for me. Then that was when he started talking to me again. God doesn't. He's not much for catering to a person's pride. God, if you're real, you will do this. God's like, I'm really the way. It's not like he needs to prove himself to anybody. He just wants some friends, man. There's been so many times where I'd get so pent up, just continuing to build pressure inside of myself, emotional pressure, and then just blow up all over God and just shameless about it, man. Just lighting into God about how much this sucks and blah, blah, blah. And he'd just be right there and be like, hey, you know what? Just don't lose heart, man. Keep on plugging away. And then the last few weeks, I was just, there was a couple of root issues and then like 20 other issues that would stem off from that weren't really much, but they were just exacerbated because of the root issues that were almost completely unrelated. I just be having my music therapy with God. God, I know this isn't sustainable. What do I need to change? And God's like, well, what's the problem? Well, all these people suck, God. That's what the problem is. This person sucks at this and this and this. That one sucks at that. And God's like, no, stop, stop, stop. What's the real problem? Well, God, it's these people. They all suck. No, stop, stop. What's the real problem? Well, God, is it these people or not? Because I think it is. And God's like, no, it's a whole lot deeper than that. You keep digging, you'll get it. So I kept digging and got it. Didn't really want it, but I got it anyway. And then I come to these decisions. I take them to God. God, this is what I want to do, God. I see other people doing it. This is what I want. And God's like, well, hey, you can do whatever you want. But if you make this decision the direction you want to, you're leaving me behind. We're not going to be on the same path anymore. Well, God, that's not what I want. Well, then you know how to make your decision, don't you, son? God's a much better friend than church people. Stuff that we'll take to the grave with us. May as well talk to God about. It's not like it was ever a mystery to him anyway. But I guess the biggest thing is God wants you to be real with him so he can be just as real with you, so you can reciprocate that. Not about playing church, not about honoring a daily checklist. You know, just, yeah, I talked a lot about myself. Hopefully it was uplifting for some of you guys. When I've been dealing with this whole thing the past couple months, for probably the last, man, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, I haven't really done much with the Bible. Haven't done much for prayer. It was just me floundering around, trying to get tight with God again. There was a friend of a friend of a friend is friends with this band, Cool Hand Luke. And I went and saw them in concert when I was still living in Washington. It was one of those big, like weekend-long concerts where there's dozens and dozens and dozens of bands, and they had one of these side stages. So we were going through their tent after they got done with their set and picked up some of their albums, then just got talking to the band. And so since the friend, a friend, a friend, and all of us were together, we were just kind of BSing with the band for a quick minute. And then me and another guy were like, so how'd you come up with the name Cool Hand Luke? And the singer just was, what? We just kind of hanging out one day, watched the movie, and man, that was a cool movie. So we started a band called Cool Hand Luke. And for like a week and a half straight, they got this song called So Shall It Be that I just had on repeat. I don't even know if it was 4 minutes long. Just listened to it for hours every day, at least 4 or 5 hours, 5 days a week. And then I started moving on to another band that I've been listening to lately. And this past week, I was able to just really cut loose. I just work with my hands because I love just being productive, just getting lost in thought when I'm doing it. I had the best time with God that day, putting up some sheetrock and cement board on a wall, just rocking out to some music, chatting with God. But God's not confused about who he is. God doesn't have to prove who he is, certainly not to you or me. So what's God gonna do? He's just gonna come in and try and be a buddy, be a friend, help you out. If you're too religious for help, how much good do you expect God to be able to do for you? You know, this oh my goodness. I overheard this conversation at church recently. There's, sometimes, yeah, people have trouble sleeping. All right, that's fine. Why don't we figure out why somebody has trouble sleeping instead of just, Lord, you know her thoughts and intents. Please give her a good night's sleep. God, whatever it is keeping this person from rest, show it to them so they can deal with it and move on, be a bigger person for it. God, please help this person. These people don't even know God. I don't want to claw my eyes out if I just tell them that straightforward. And God hasn't asked me to yet, fortunately. But that was one time this couple days ago. I hadn't been sleeping real well anyway. I had stuff on my mind. But I didn't bother asking God for a good night's sleep because I knew it was stuff I brought on myself. But right in the middle of it, like 1 in the morning, it's like somebody dumped a bucket of cold water on my heart. I'm just up. And then God starts talking to me, and I'm still like, why is this happening? God starts talking to me about some person and send that person a message. You still awake? They weren't. Ended up conveying some things to him, I don't know, that day or day later or something. But that's just the kind of rapport I have with God. That's the kind of friendship I've been able to build with him. And it really helps when you're looking for correction and not vindication or justification or loopholes or anything like that. If all you want is more of God and you're willing to get over yourself to have it, he will be right there every inch of the way. And then, it starts with thoughts, little inklings, feelings. To like, maybe I should just do this today. And then you look back like 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. You're like, man, that was God. I was just too dense to really hear much of him. Huh. All right. Anyway, I think I'm about done now. I had my fun. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Love all you guys and peace.